Evening, everyone. Racing Telf back again for another episode. It feels like I've been away for a while. Dawn and Rachel have been keeping the fort with the Scottish Racing Podcast. Declan was on last week with Luke and everybody. Don was there as well. And I've been away for a couple of weeks since Cheltenham. It's good to be back, though. We are kicking things off this week with Ayr, Scottish National Meeting, and also we've got Newbury this week. We're having a look at 5 races this week. And then doing best bets at the end of the podcast anyway. But let's introduce who's with us tonight. Luke Keener's running a little bit late tonight. I think he's stuck on the 15th hole. So I think he said he was on the 15th hole. I was wondering, how is he playing in the dark? It's dark where I am. Is it dark where you are, Rachel?
It's kind of a wee bit dark there, Chris, but it's nice that the nights are drawn out now. Summer's on the way, thank God, because I'm sick of this cold weather. It's doing my head in. But not looking forward to being on the USO podcast tonight with yourself. It's been a long time since I've seen your face. So yeah, looking forward to it.
It's beautiful face. It's beautiful. Hey, it's been a while since you've seen this guy's quiff, hasn't it?
How we doing, mate?
All right, Don. I'm outnumbered now. Scots are ganging up on me.
That's us, mate. That's what we're here for. We're ganging up on you English mob, and we are outnumbering the Irish mob for the first time ever. So we're here to take over.
Yeah, good man. Gurney's just put in the comment that it stays lighter in God's country. Yeah, Declan said that as well. He said it's we're about 30 minutes behind they are.
Oh, I just assume he means Scotland when he says that, because it's still light up here.
Yeah, no, it's really dark here. It's really dark. Yeah. Also, in the background, fresh from... He's probably tired, actually, Jordan, because he's been watching the Villa. All right, Jordan?
I'm not too bad at yourself.
I'm all right, mate. How have you been watching the Villa? How have they got on?
Yeah, won on penalties in the end.
Won on penalties. Whoa. Unlike City last night, they were shockers in the penalties.
Yep.
This penalty was absolutely terrible. We're not here to talk about football. Listen, Luke will be joining us a bit. Jordan, it's good to have you on your first full podcast, mate. How you feeling?
Yeah, it's good to be on. Looking forward to it.
Good man. Bit glitchy your stream there, Jordan. You need to put 10p in the meter, mate, I think.
I'll try and sort that out for you.
You keep it going. Rach, Don, we're going to kick things off with Ayr this week. Obviously, it's a track that you guys have probably been to quite a few times, haven't you?
Yeah, definitely, mate. Ayr was the very first racecourse I ever went to. Many moons ago. Not been recently, unfortunately, not been maybe last summer, but I'm going to get in the Gold Cup in September this year. Cracking place, Scotland's premier course. Looking forward to it, mate.
Yeah, I think it rides a little bit like Haydock, I would say. Would you say that's similar?
Very similar. The only difference I would say is Ayr sort of sits in a basin. So even though we're going to get no rain probably the next couple of days, that ground's still going to be soft on Saturday. It doesn't drain like Aintree did last weekend, and the going at Ayr can get pretty attritional.
Yeah.
So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see a little bit of good in places or good to soft at the weekend, but I think you're pretty much going to see soft all round.
Yeah, you've been up there a few times, Rich.
Yeah, I have been. Had the pleasure of attending there as an owner for Albert Roux when I was quite a career path when I was chefing for him, and I got him involved with the horse which he named after his Michelin star restaurant, Le Gavroche. He had his bumper running here, finished in front of the horse that came out and won, even though he saddle slipped at Kelso on Monday at Pelia Kings. So but even though his bumper is decent for his, but no, Ayr's it's a nice track, and if you attend owner, the food is top notch.
Yeah, big shout out to. There's been a couple of Scottish trainers who've really stood out this year, but for me, I think Nick Alexander's had an amazing season. He really has, and I think he had a horse that won a couple of weeks ago that was actually in his stable staff's name. Don't see many trainers doing that for the stable staff now, but what an initiative that is by Nick. It's a good one, that. Can't remember
he's
the
a
name
good lad as well. I've met him a few times. He's solid lad.
He's very, very thorough and quite clear on his on the Kynaston website as well with his blog posts. There's not a lot of trainers who say do that. Lucinda Russell's very good at that actually as well. I don't think Lucinda does it. It's done by a guy called Paul McIver, I think, something like that. And there's quite a few other trainers down south who do it as well, but there's not many that used to. Nigel Twiston Davis used to be really with his, but not seen much on Nigel's. I think when last time I went on Nigel's, I might have got a virus on my computer. Somebody definitely hacked it, something like that. Boys and girls, let's get ready to kick things off. Luke's probably not even in the background yet. We're going over to Scottish champion hurdle. I've even done the betting this week. Look at this.
Good
I
lad.
think there are loads of time in my hand, and I really haven't. Lord of Sud is going to be the favourite there for Dan and Harry Skelton. I know I put threes on there. I can see fours prices now. Obviously, Dan is going to be throwing quite a bit of this trainer's title, as well as Willie Mullins, which I think we'll touch on in a couple of bit. Favour and Fortune for Alan King, who loves winners up in his native Scotland. The Trevor Hemming colours being flown there. Barely a stop for Mullins' third favourite. Rubard, tries to do this the second year. Affordale, Freddie is it Gingell or Freddie? It's got to be Gingell, hasn't it?
Gingell.
Gingell, yeah.
Yeah,
He's on Affordale. First Street. Oh God, Jesus Christ! People are. I'm sure there are people out there who are going to die on the edge, just like Andy does for all of his horses on the. He will jump off a cliff for some of them horses, Andrew. But there's people out there who will jump off a cliff for First Street.
Yeah.
12-1 in there. Where do we want to fancy starting here? We'll start with you, Jordan.
Obviously, funny you mentioned First Street. Obviously, on the drop-in show, I put him up in the Coral Cup whilst he didn't run with all the Nicky Henderson runners. I don't fancy him to go and win the Scottish champion hurdle by any means, but I do think that the Skeltons have got the right favourite, and I do think probably the most likely winner in Lord de Sud. Obviously, he's up £3 after finishing second to Absurd at Cheltenham, which was a pretty good run. And it looks like Absurd was pretty much thrown in that day. And I think to run a second behind him and only be at £3, he's probably got to beat him with these. Don't get me wrong, there are a few other good horses in here. I mean, Favour and Fortune obviously ran 6th in the Supreme and previously running behind Fun and Django Bay, who in the Riders are also good horses. Interesting, obviously, Willie Mullins is sending quite a lot over with the UK English title. And obviously, he sends over Biley stock over here. He's got fairly good form. I mean, he finished 4th in the Royal Bond. I mean, he was miles back, finishing 15th right down the field in the county. I don't fancy him to go and win, but I think obviously it's an interesting runner, and obviously one where Mullins will be keen to have quite a few winners over here with the chasing the Trainers' Championship.
Yeah. Cheers, Jordan. I was actually hoping that Iberico Lord might have gone here, but obviously doesn't take its chance. Rich, where are you going with this one?
Yeah, now I think in this race, Chris, it's actually a really good betting race, but I'm going to go with an outsider in here in Florida Dreams. Now, the horses at the top of the market and some at the bottom, they've all ran against each other. And the pro for Florida Dreams is he had bypassed Cheltenham and Aintree. So he's coming here after a break of 77 days, having missed those festivals. Last season at Musselburgh Trials Day, where me and Don both talked about this horse, and he was seen stepping up in trip 3 miles around Musselburgh, but he did weaken up the home straight, which seemed to stretch his stamina. Now, he is a course and distance winner around here, and he does look like he has a liking for the track. That win to his name, that was one on soft ground, and the ground currently at Ayr is soft. He beat at Ayr is a horse trained by David Pipe, which I'm sure is running on Saturday as well in another race. But the horse that he beat on that occasion for David Pipe finished behind a winner at Dollar Collar, who pushed the odds-on favourite Alna Lamb at Kelso on Monday very close. Obviously, I tipped up Alna Lamb. And then the horse, which was second on that occasion, which was Phantom Off the Points, he then came out and won since. So the form is pretty decent. It's whether Nicky Richards has got this horse fit enough after a 77-day break. But he's out of the handicap. He's carrying no weight at all. And he is only a 6-year-old. Going back to this distance over 2 miles, we'll see him in a good light. And I think at the price of 16-1, I mean, it's a shame there's only 15 runners, but most like online betting accounts like Sky Bet, etc. They might pay like 5 places or 4 places. So if you're looking for an each way selection in here, I think Florida Dreams is good. I couldn't take any at the top of the market just based on the fact that I think Low de Sud had quite a hard race at Cheltenham. Obviously, was second in the Betfair Hurdle. They're quite there too. Hard races. I don't fancy Rubo. Just basically go on what Jordan said about First Street. I just think that the weight on his back, he's got more seconds and thirds to his name than wins. But no, I'm happy to stick with Florida Dreams at 16-1. Carrying no weight at all. He is, of course, a distance winner, no ground issues, and I think he can go well at a big price.
Thanks very much, Rich. Florida Pearl then. Florida Dreams for Nicky Richards. Not familiar with those colours, the J5 colours. They had many other horses. Sure, they have, haven't they? Yeah, they've had quite.
Yeah. They've got quite a few.
Yeah, Collingham. Yes, Jesus Christ, should be more familiar than that. Richard Stott there in the comments. Florida Dreams highly thought of in the yard. Yep. I think Rachel's highlighted a lot of that.
Familiar colours for Jim Goldie's yard as well.
Oh, yeah. Here he is. Tiger Woods is here. Is it back in? Oh, did you finish on Tiger? He's muted himself.
We were just out for the first outing of the year. We won't be keeping scores on today, but we played all right.
That means shit.
No, we were only tipping around. There's a few nice pairs in there.
We were keeping score.
Nice pars. So you must play off a handicap there, Luke. Nice one.
No, I don't know. Shall I play for a bit of crack? But it wouldn't be too bad.
It's all right. We'll come to you in a minute, Luke, about this race. We're going to go to Don next for this one.
So the one I'm interested here, Chris, is Favourite Fortune. He was only 6th in the Supreme, but he did put in a few novice jumps on the way around. The time before that, he was second to Fun around Exeter. And I think he was only half a length away while giving away £10 to the winner. But again, jumping, it wasn't fluent. And at entry in December, he finished about 3 lengths behind Django Bay, who's better than anything in here as far as I'm concerned, and 12 lengths ahead of a horse, a favourite of mine and Rachel's, Cannock Park. For me, that's arguably better form than what the Skelton horse brings into this race. If he jumps better at about 5-1, that'll do for me. I am mildly interested in First Street, but not enough to think that he beats the Alan King horse. So, Favourite Fortune for me, mate.
Cheers, buddy. Loves the winner in Scotland, does our Alan. Luke, where are you going for this, mate?
I'm going to be with the Skelton horse here, Loud de Sud.
Yep.
Is that what we're going for? Anyway, he's had his pocket pick the last twice in the Betfair Hurdle and obviously down at Cheltenham when Absurd got up to beat him under a nice cool ride from Paul Town, and probably one of the rides of the festival to get that horse
up. Yeah, it was,
100%. He was unlucky that day, and he's just bumped into one the last twice, like a Birker Lord in the Betfair Hurdle, and obviously that horse there's a bit more thought of him when he was thrown into the Champion Hurdle. He supplemented for it. I thought if he got £3 for over rise for that run at Cheltenham, they pulled a wave from Pied Piper, who's a solid yardstick in those big 2 mile handicap hurdles. He's only 6. I thought he had a bit of potential there, and I didn't think 3-1 was too short for him.
15 runner race. You not think 3-1's a little bit too short? Or are you just going off the form there, Luke? Do you think that's the reason he's so short?
I think it's his form justifies it, to be honest. I think they've been 2 cracking runs, and he's just bumped into 2 progressive horses.
Would you like to see Iberico Lord in this?
He would have carried a lot of weight, would he?
Possibly.
I don't know I'd like to see him maybe turn up in Punchdown in the champ, whatever the 2 mile hurdle.
Well, let's see if Nicky puts his money where his mouth is. Then see if we could.
I believe it when I see it.
They've done it once now, thrown him in at Cheltenham when he wasn't right. So I'd say there's every chance.
Fingers crossed. That'd be a nice little race to watch there. Let's go over selections for that then. I think there's 2 of us there with Low de Sud, Luke and Jordan. Yes, boys?
Yeah.
Yep.
Both with Low de Sud. Don is with
Favour and Fortune
for Alan King, and Rachel is with
Florida Dreams, Chris, for Nicky Richards.
Florida Dreams. The big one is the next one we're coming over to. It's the Scottish National, and it took me a while to put up all these prices for the Scottish National. And they decided there was that many. It's taken me that long to load it there. Anyway, yeah, what a race this promises to be. I mean, how many? What's the? There was a lot of entries, but the maximum field size is 26, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, 26. That's right. I mean, does anyone fancy anything at a price in this?
Yeah, me.
Yeah. Well,
Yep.
We'll come to you first, Don.
So I'm going to give you 3, but the one in the middle, the bullish one, is about 30 to 1. So what I'm going to give you is, instead of milking this, Chris, I'm giving you 20 different horses to talk about. I'm just going to give you the 3, mate, right?
Yeah.
An obvious one, my bullish one, which I'm looking forward to seeing how it goes, and a big price, silly one, right? So the first one is a fairly obvious one, and it's Get Maker. If it wasn't for, I know the way you're thinking, this fella would have been a winner of the Kim Muir, and he'd have been put up a lot more than the amount he got for finishing second. I know the way you're thinking has came out and won that mild May Grade 1 entry since. So he's got strong claims. I think he'll go off shorter than 81 on Saturday, though. I think that's going to be a popular pick, right? The one I am keen on, especially at the price, is Tommy Bow. The Tommy Bow was 7 lengths behind Angler's Crag in the Eider, but he's now got an £8 swing with that horse in his favour, and Angler's Crag's in this race. I think Angler's Crag's went up about £25 in the last 5 races, so you'd need to think that's going to start levelling off at some point. But I think Tommy Bow will enjoy this, right? Angler's Crag's 91. This fella's about 28 or 30s. He's 33s, I think, last night or this morning when I looked. That's a no-brainer for me. He placed him at a Sussex National. He's been carrying about 11 stone 10, 12 stone in all his races since March last year. Now, normally what I'd say to you is, it's because he's been racing in poorer races than this. But he's carrying a meagre 10 stone 6 on Saturday. I've already had a bet, and I'm going to go in again on the day if he's the same price.
Are you not worried, Don, that all of his runs are around like park tracks, like really tight turning tracks? All of his wins.
No, not at all. Ayr,
No.
I think will suit him the way that he runs. I'm not really too concerned about it. I think Newcastle and Ayr are very similar. I think he'll be fine. I don't think Ayr's going to be an issue to him. There might be something on the day that suits a soft ground long finish, which Ayr is. But I think at the prices, there's no chance I'm going to be knocking him up. So I'm looking forward to this on Saturday. But the silly mad one outside is punitive. He definitely seems to have lost his way. And
Peter Bowen.
His way a little bit, right, mate? But William Maggs, his claim means he's carrying 9 stone 9, for goodness sake. I mean, it's unlikely he's going to be up to this task, right? Based on most of the runs he's done in the last year. But more than half a dozen bookies have got him 100 to 1. I'm quite happy to part with £2.50 each way on that. And the off chance that something at this lowly weight and at this distance maybe sparks something back to life in him. So there's a silly one, an obvious one, and the one I'm very, very bullish, looking forward to, mate, is Tommy Bow.
The one was a time, and wasn't the one Peter Bowen used to send all these horses up to Ayr, and everybody was backing them. He used to have, it was around about, I say about 10 years ago, something like that. I think Alco won this race around about 8-10 years ago, something like that. But I don't know that Alco was actually a dual winner of this race, possibly. But
I know he placed. He might have won it twice. I can't remember actually off the top of my head. He likes to send horses up to Perth in the summer jumping as well, does
he? Does, yeah. That's the time to follow him in the summer jumping anyway. He gets all of his that's where he gets all his prize money from anyway. He scoops them up. Right, cheers, Don. 3 for you. Anybody got more than one in this one, like Don has? Jordan, have you got more than one?
I've got one that I want to play at a price because, like Don, I think obviously Gitmaker's got an excellent chance. The second in the Kim Muir. I know the way you're thinking. He's obviously gone in again at Aintree, and the fact he's only gone up £1 for the fact that I know the way you're thinking was in there, as I said, speaks volumes. There's a reason that he's H1 favourite. One that I don't really know if I'm backing because I fancy it or if it's because I've backed it quite a lot, and that's Mr. Vango. Obviously third in the National Hunt Chase. But again, that was run at a crawl, and Corbett's Cross obviously ended up winning it by 17 lengths. But it kind of turned into a sprint. So obviously, depending on what depending on how he's come out of that race at Cheltenham, I do think he could run a big race at a decent price.
Thanks very much, Jordan. Nice, decent price there. Yeah, Rachel, what about you?
No surprise, Chris, because I have an affinity with this horse. It's Mr. Incredible. I'm just such a huge fan of him. Obviously, we know what happened last week in the English National. That was through no fault of his own. Obviously, the horse in front, Malor Mission, made a mistake, and Mr. Incredible just came in at the back of him. But this horse, I so want him to win a big race. He's got a big race in him. Whether it is on Saturday, who knows? Everyone knows he's a quirky sort. Like, he'll either refuse. Obviously, he just got going in the Grand National. He was travelling nicely before that mishap. But, I mean, there's no stamina doubts. There's no ground condition doubts. Like, he was runner-up in the Classic Chase, the Midlands National. He was third in the Kim Muir. And I just really like him. I would love him to win a big race. I'm quite surprised that Brian Hayes isn't on him, because he's been on him in a few races recently, or his most recent runs. But obviously Patrick Mullins pretty much trains him nowadays because of his quirkiness. I don't think the quick turnaround. Obviously, he only really had half a mile race or a mile race on Saturday last week. Obviously, he finished second at Beauport, who he reopposes here, and Beauport's got an £8 swing there. But I just think Mr. Incredible, yeah, he deserves to land a big one. And there's nothing in here that really catches my eye. I think I'm just going with the heart more than the head. And I like him. Hopefully, he runs a nice race.
Cheers, Rachel. Anybody got an opinion on Anglers Crag, who's racked up that 4-timer since moving over to Brian Ellison from David Piper, a horse that Declan has mentioned previously many moons ago on our podcast, but was a very gutsy winner, wasn't he, of the Ida Chase at Newcastle last time? But is he looking a bit shade too high? Well, maybe not too high. He should go well in a national like this, shouldn't he? He's a bit drifting in the market. He's
a tough fella. I just think for this season, this may be a race too far.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, the exact same thing I said about Korak Rambler last weekend. I think it's a race too far. We'll never know what happened after he fell at the first. But I think this is a race too far for Anglers Crag this season. And I don't want to take anything away from him because he's a cracker.
Great season. Luke, you?
I'm with Jordan here. My main one is going to be Mr. Van Gogh. McDermott's at the top of the market. Like, you can't really knock him, but the handicapper hasn't missed him. He's only a 6-year-old. He got £12 from the Irish handicapper for that win at Fairyhouse for bolting up. The English handicapper's thrown on another 4 for good measure. But like, Mr. Van Gogh ran a great race there in the National Hunt Chase, finishing behind Corbett's Cross and Embassy Gardens. Embassy Gardens 150 rated. Whether that's to be believed, I'm not sure. But Corbett's Cross is a solid yardstick. He's ran a savage race there last week at Aintree. I know they crawled around, which I actually don't think suited this lad. He was out in front and he just didn't go any gallop. I'd be surprised now if they didn't kick on a bit more with him here. I think the step up to 4 miles is going to be a big plus for him. Seen him in the parade ring before, and he's a big unit. I'd say he's made for these type of nationals. 16-1 there. I think he's worth taking a chance on each way.
Looks like Jordan and Luke have been in bed together. Right, selections in that then. Luke, just go over yours one more time.
Mr. Van Gogh.
Mr. Van Gogh and Jordan.
Jitmaker and Mr. Van Gogh each way.
Nice one. Don, 3 of them.
Gitmaker, the obvious. Punitive, the silly. Tommy Bow, the main bet.
Okay. And Rich?
Mr. Incredible.
Mr. Incredible. She's jumping off a cliff with that one, aren't you?
Yeah, I just want him to win a big race. I'll stop going on about him when he wins on Saturday.
Okay, thanks very much. Is there any more selections for here? I'm sure you'll come back to it right at the end, but we're going to go over to Newbury now. 3 decent races to not kickstart the flat season, but continue the start of this flat season now with the first one being the Fred Darling, which is the 2:05 at Newbury on Saturday. Royal Jubilee is the favourite here. In fact, I've done the betting for this one, I think, too. I think this is a tissue price, though. No, it's not. I have done the betting for it. Yeah, Royal Jubilee is the favourite for John and 30. Kieran Schumark, glad to see Kieran get a big job this year. Hopefully he does well. Relief Rally for Tom Marquand and William Haggis is second favourite. Folgera, who's racked up 5 wins, goes for Marco Botti here. Folgera, wow, coming over from it's Italy, isn't it? Yeah, he's been running over in the Domello Stakes over in Italy. Amalca, sorry, for Roger Varian at 6s. The field is rounded up with Star Music and Topanga there. Topanga's the outsider there for Oshin at 20s. Where do we want to start here? Let's go to Luke first. He's been last in the first 2 races. Just your cup of tea, Luke. The flat.
Yeah, the flat is back. It's just a shame that Dundalk is finished now too. That's the real sign of the flat getting back. But I'm actually quite surprised that Relief Rally is in favourite here. I'm not going to pretend I know anything about that Italian form of Folgaria. I thought Relief Rally's form last year was a standout for these. Like, she was second at Ascot and she just behind the Wes Ward horse in the Queen Mary. If she's to win that day, she would have been undefeated. I thought her best run of the season was actually her last run at York and the Louder. She hit the line really strong over 6 furlongs to beat Cherry Blossom. It's a decent field that day. Every run last year, she's been hitting the line strong. She steps up from the 5 and 6 furlongs up to 7. I don't think that's going to be an issue. And she seemed like a real 2-year-old last year, and sometimes just the first race of the season, they can get away with it. I think she might just get away with it here. And I think she's very fairly priced there at 11-4 on the screen, second favourite.
If she goes well at 7 furlongs here, they probably give Connections a little bit of a headache here, whether they go the 1,000 guineas with her maybe. I think she is quite a special filly as well. I thoroughly agree with you. I think Relief Rally is the bet here. I hope she continues that progression in this as a 3-year-old. Rachel, what do you think?
Yeah, I just agree with Luke. He basically took the words straight out of my mouth. She brings the best form into the race. The only question is whether she stays 7 furlongs. Obviously, we won't know that until the race is run. But I was watching an interview with Paul Marquand before, and he says that the way that she finished off her season last year, she was starting to learn how to settle. So that's always good coming into this sort of race, knowing that information. But she's the best horse in the race. Like Luke said, if she was denied in the Queen Mary, she was undefeated last season. I can't say much more.
Cheers, Rich. Coming over to our Italian form expert now, Don Luigi.
I know about as much about Italian horse racing as I do what my wife wants for dinner. So I'm certainly not the expert in here, mate. Look, see, at this stage of the season, you're taking a stab at which one of these has progressed from a 2-year-old season last year, right? And with the exception of finishing second in the Queen Mary at Royal Ascot, Relief Rally beat everything put in front of her. I actually had her in as at 2-1. I thought I'd so earlier on, so I must have been looking at a shite bookie. And I thought she was the favourite. But the only thing I will say, and as I don't like to be going short at this stage of the season on these first-time out 3-year-olds in the flat, especially the fillies and males, but she's yet to prove at 7 furlongs and on the soft that it's her bag. So I'm going to take a chance on Star Music for Richard Hughes, a yard very much in a rich vein of form at the moment. And having Buick on the horse's back as well, by the way, won't hinder her chances. She took apart a very, very moderate field at Kempton in September over this distance. And then she finished a fading third in the Oso Sharp at the Grade 3 at Newmarket in October. She was a bit keen early on that day. I'm hoping she settles better this time. I'm happy to take a chance at. I've got 13-2. If I can get 10-1, I'm all over that. That yard is banging for him, and I'm going to go for a wee value bet here.
Yeah, you can't get that 10-1 anymore. I did this earlier on today. That's moved in 15-2. Must be your money, Don. Must be £2.50 each way.
It must be my pound, yeah. My quids here and there, mate. I'm quite happy with that.
Go on, lad. Does Jordan agree with you, Jordan?
I thought I was going to be the only one to actually mention Star Music because he's one that I had written down. I mean, Relief Rally, he is one of the fancy, but again, at this time of the season, first start of the season, you never know what's going to turn up, especially progressing from the 2-year-old career to the 3-year-old career. But yeah, I mean, Richard Hughes, he's going really well at the minute. He obviously had Brunel Nation go and win, I think it was yesterday, and Whitcracker also went really close. I mean, over the last 14 days, he's been operating at a 35% strike rate. And I mean, like you said, at the price and with William Buick on it, would definitely do no harm. So I think, yeah, Relief Rally, but at a price would be playing Star Music as well.
Well, that's 4 of. Well, there we go. We got the forecast then. Relief Rally to beat Star Music. I'm going for. Or if you want to do it the other way around, you can do that reverse forecast. Listen, no, we've not really mentioned the favourite in Regal Jubilee. You know, really did improve with every start last year, and you know, she fits the bill in this, but. I think the form for me just lacks a little bit. Obviously, she's a daughter of Frankel, you know, but the form is there for Relief Rally. And if she takes this step up to 7 furlongs, as we think that she will, she's going to take some stopping in my eyes. And I think on the day, I think Regal Jubilee will probably go off either second or third favourite myself. Probably second favourite, actually, looking at the field. But I think Relief Rally is a good price now, 11-4.
Here's my question, Chris. Why do you take a horse that's won 3 races over 8, including an 8 heavy, and drop it back to 7? What are they? Is this just a runabout for some of the entries that Royal Jubilee's got later on in the season?
It's a possibility.
I don't see why they're dropping it back for a horse that's won a mile on heavy. I'm really dubious with that price.
Yeah, I mean, she travelled really strongly, and they only went really sensible gallops last year.
They did,
yeah. It was. I think Kieran jumped off last year, and he was saying like he was trying to teach her to settle, and he did. And you know, when you hit that rising ground at Newmarket, you know, she did quicken away really well. I just feel 7 furlongs is a little sharp. She might be all right at it, you know, but I think her trips lie over maybe a little bit further down the line. Don't know why. Maybe it's a good opportunity to maybe get her started, but Relief Rally just brings the form. Relief Rally and Star Music there for us guys. We'll move on. Next race that we're going to have a look at is the Watership Down. I should have played Watership Down in the background here or something like that. Come on, Rachel. What's Watership Down?
What, the song?
Oh! I thought you might not have known, but yeah.
Oh, I've never heard it.
No. Don't sing it.
Oh hell no!
Sing us a line there, Chris.
I don't know it myself. I was just trying to make sure that other people knew it. And obviously, I know that Watership Down was that thing with the rabbits, wasn't it?
It's a frightening TV program movie about the rabbits that just look scary. It used to scare the shite out of me when I was a kid. Oh no, man! Don't ever watch it.
No, I won't be watching it myself. Next race that we're having a look at is obviously the Watership Down, registered as the Greenham Stakes. Zoom Zoom, a triple winner last year for Rafe Beckett, finishing out the season in France with a decent victory on, you know, very heavy ground. I didn't think that was scintillating form though. Finds herself here at 11-8 at the top of the market. Ballymount Boy, you know, could be anything. You know, ran in some very good races last year. Improved with every start. Bit of a blip, went 8th. And then came back and won next time out for Adrian Keighley. Army Ethos has been seen out already this season when being put in its place by a very nice Jeff Allroyd horse in Pocklington. I stuck that one in my tracker on debut, and it duly obliged when beating Army Ethos when Army Ethos was sent off at like 2-9 or something like that. Very short. Mr. Sketch, I think this is a horse that Andy put up on the podcast last year as one to watch going forward. Room Service won very well last time at Doncaster as a 2-year-old. It's whether, again, the question marks, whether they've improved as a 3-year-olds, haven't they? So where do we go here with the start here, Jordan?
Obviously, Zoom Zoom very short in the market considering what it did. I mean, obviously it beat Kikuli, who's gone and beat the Godolphin horse this week. But 11-8, I wouldn't be having it here, especially with the 11 runners and 15-2 to bar the field. I quite like Army Ethos for Archie Watson. Obviously, he comes second in the Coventry last year. Did get put in its place, as you said a minute ago, first time out. But I'm hoping that he just needs a run, and that hopefully he will come here with a run under his belt and will just win due to obviously the benefit of a run this season.
Thanks very much, Jordan. Come to Luke next.
Zoom, like he done plenty last year in a short space of time. Like in that 5 weeks, he won his maiden, won the novice stakes, and then went over to St. Cloud and won the listed race. I think he's plenty short for what he's done. It'd nearly be, I just want to say, a bit disappointing, but he is a gelding, so like the classics aren't open for him, so it'd be a bit you'd like to see something else, maybe pop their head into one class into the 2000 guineas market, I'd probably take a chance on Watch My Tracer. He's a few pounds fined with a few of these, but I thought he was very gutsy to win at Lingfield, and he bet a decent filly of Richard Hannon's, or Richard Hughes's. Like, he looked to appreciate the 7 furlongs that day. His race fitness on his side, like, it was a career best last day at Lingfield. I think it was the 7 furlongs that played a massive part in that. I think each way there, I see him going across there 14-1. I'd be happy to take a chance on him.
I think I remember Andy putting that one up last year when the horse won at Windsor, and then next time out in the July meeting at Newmarket. Yeah, possibly sent off favourite for that one. Watch My Tracer. Yeah, good win last time at Lingfield. Sorry, and let's go to Don next.
I'm going to be very unoriginal here, but I am very much looking forward to seeing Zoom Zoom this Saturday. If you watch those 2 races back in St. Cloud and Newmarket, he seemed to me either maybe a little bit quirky, maybe just at that stage of the horse's career, green as grass. But both occasions, when Hornby gave him the persuader, he almost looked as if he was saying, you want me to go? You want me to go now? And see, when the penny dropped, the horse skipped away on both occasions.
Can I just quote to you what Rafe Beckett said last year? He said that he thought the horse wouldn't be making it to the racetrack as a 2-year-old because he was a bit like a giraffe.
Is that what he said? I honestly never knew that. But he was just, it just seems to be, it takes a while for the penny to drop. And when the penny drop, it just steps away. And that Newmarket race, Kukuli, who was second, came out and won this week, I think it is. If he comes back a better horse than what he was last year, and the market's telling us that Beckett obviously thinks that he is, I think this could be a very decent animal, and I am really looking forward to this race on Saturday. I want to see what this horse does.
Yeah, the race at Newmarket, the forms worked out really well. Like you say, Kukuli came out, Bal Makara came out as well, and won on debut at Doncaster a couple of weeks ago as well. Not sure about further down the field, but you know, I can see what he's saying about the giraffe-like features, because he does have this kind of like really exaggerated galloping accent if you watch the races back. So, but it's obviously very effective for the horse. Rachel,
almost
what do you
like
think?
It just takes a wee while for the wheels to get turning, and see when the wheels turn, it was away.
Yeah. Rach?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Jordan on this one, Army Ethos. Same connections as Blundell, who is a class horse as well. But Army Ethos, he was well beaten. He was beaten at a short price by Pocklington at Newcastle. But he is one of the few horses in this race that has had a run under its belt, and he will have race fitness on his side. Interestingly, Archie Watson is now putting cheek pieces on him. I don't know whether that's sharpen him up, where there is a lot of improvement for further horses in this race. But I just think Army Ethos, the fact that he pushed River Tiber all the way to the line at Royal Ascot, he brings the best form for me in this race. Like I say, he's got race fit side. Holly Doyle is she rides a lot of winners for Archie Watson. They're a good combination when they're together. I just thought 9-1. When you see the price of Zoom Zoom, I think Army Ethos in a race that is so open, he's worth an each way bet in this. So yeah, Army Ethos for me.
I'm not too sure why we didn't see Army Ethos after that Ascot run. Was there a reason? Does anybody know? No. Because I don't think to me, didn't look like the same animal that came back at Newcastle. Obviously, was well put in his place by Pocklington. Now, Pocklington looks like a very decent horse itself, but if I was so taken with Army Ethos on debut at and then the run at Ascot was pretty darn good, really. Really unfancied as well under Holly around about like 25-1 or something like that, but just didn't look to me like he was the same animal at Newcastle. Could step forward from that. Obviously, the cheek pieces might help. We'll go there. We've not mentioned Mr. Sketch, a horse that I know that Andy put up quite a few times. Well, sorry, after the victory at where was that? At Salisbury, and then we were covering the Newbury race, the Mill Reef, and he said that he thought the horse was, a decent animal. One to probably watch and put in your trackers for this year, Mr. Sketch. There. Let's just go over selections for that. Don's with the favourite Zoom, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, and Rich, any thoughts along with Jordan?
Yep.
Yeah.
And Watch My Tracer for Luke at 20-1 outside of there.
Yep, that's the one.
Cheers, Luke. Cheers, mate. We'll come over to the last race that we're going to have a look at now, which is, well, it's pretty much a throw a dart into your page, isn't it? The favourite is 8-1. That proves how competitive this Spring Cup is. Just put up the captions for this here coming up on the bottom. There's so many that it's taking ages to load here. Here we go. Latam is the favourite there for Julie Camacho and Ryan Sexton. Navaggio for James Horton and Richard Kingscote. Radeberg, who's come back over here now with George Boy and William Buick on there. I don't want to go through all of these, but anyone got anything above 20-1 in this? No. Interesting. Right, we'll go with Jordan first then on this one.
Surprisingly, I mean, obviously it's a bit of a minefield with the amount of runners in it. And unoriginally, I have come down on Latham. I think his second in the Lincoln by Mr. Professor and only being raced £3 for that. Obviously, Mr. Professor was a big winner that day, and we don't really know how well he could be. Obviously, he was also seventh in the Balmoral, which was only 6.5 lengths away from the gatekeeper. Obviously, we'll see how that he goes on his first start. I believe it was obviously for this. No, he's already been seen this season when he finished second to Mr. Professor, obviously. I just think that is probably the best form, and he is the rightful favourite. And I mean, at 10-1, I mean, to say a favourite is a little bit of a joke.
Cheers, Jordan. Not original. The form is there for that horse. Don, what about you?
I'm quite sweet on Navaggio here. Now, if you go back and watch the Lincoln, Navaggio not only had the furthest away stall in stall 1, he had to come across all the way from there. He then got checked and running about halfway when he was still on the bridle, still travelling well. And after that, Kingscote, who's on him again on Saturday, he starts carving through the traffic, and about a furlong out, he gets checked again. And he finished an admirable third. He keeps his mark of 96, and he's in a much better draw. I think he's drawn 5. And I think the last 3 winners of this were all single-figure drawn. I'm not saying he's a sure thing, but I'm pretty bullish that his chances on Saturday, and I think he can still get about 10-1. I'm very happy with that.
I don't think you can say anything's a sure thing in this field. This is as competitive as they come. No, but certainly his chances was drawn way out in the car park last time. Though definitely a better draw this time. Yeah. Rachel?
Yeah, I'm going with Jordan again. Chris with Latam. Obviously, I was at the Lincoln when he was second to Mr. Professor. Latam was actually second in this race last year behind Jimi Hendrix, and I done a wee bit digging when I was previewing this race. So the last 2 winners of this race ran in the Lincoln before he went and won here. Obviously, Modern News in 2022, he finished 7th, and last year he finished 13th before coming to win the race. So the Lincoln is a stepping stone for this race. Latham, I mean, he's now up £6 from when he was second here last year. It is hard to say how good the form of the Lincoln is going to turn out to be, but Dutch Decoy was so far down the field on that occasion, and he came out second, and he went quite close at Newmarket on Tuesday, I think it was. So, I mean, there is a wee bit of form in that race, the Lincoln. And I just think Latam, Julie Camacho and the owner especially have had great wins in these sort of races, handicaps with big field. Obviously, significantly won the Air Gold Cup last season. So the trainer and the owner do like to target these races especially. And Latam, for me, he was picking the Lincoln second, just couldn't quicken the way that Mr. Professor did. He's a worthy favourite in here for me. So yeah, I'm going for favourite Latam.
Still muted. So in a 20-runner handicap, we've gone for the favourite and the second favourite so far. Luke?
We're going to spice things up a bit. The lads are on about Richard Hughes' record start season. Him and Finley March have been in great form, and I actually am quite sweet on Real Gain here. He's won first time up the last 2 seasons. He won a back-end 2-year-old maiden on the all-weather at a big price. They probably didn't expect much, and it was probably just a run to get a run. at the end of the season, a bit of experience, and he ended up winning it nicely. He reappeared last year in the novice stakes at Chelmsford and won over 1.25 miles before stepping into handicap company. I thought just inexperience got him bet at York the first day over 1 mile on good ground. He then made a procession of a mile 1 handicap at Newmarket off 91. He's been raised £11 from that. I thought the run at the end of the year in Newmarket on soft ground in the Group 3 when he finished behind Radeberg, I thought it might have just been a step too far. It was a quick turnaround 2 weeks after his career best performance he put in Newmarket in the handicap. I think just lots to like about him. He's only a 4-year-old. He's fairly unexposed. He's only had the 5 runs. I think at 14-1, he's a great chance here. The ground might just be a slight issue for him. I think he might just want it better, but over the mile, heavy. Well, it's not going to be heavy, but on the slow side, I don't think it's going to be an issue. I thought maybe the last run at Newmarket, you could possibly blame the ground in the Group 3, but I think just the mile 1 and the soft ground, the quick turnaround was more of a deciding matter than the ground on the day. I think he could outrun his odds here.
Thanks very much, Luke. Right, we'll just go over selections for that race then. Jordan, take us from the top.
Sorry, mate, can you say that again? I didn't hear you.
Selections there, mate, for that one.
Latam.
Latam for you. Rachel, you were with Latam yet?
Yeah.
Yeah, and Don?
Navaggio.
And Luke, the Richard Hughes horse, yeah?
Real gain, yeah.
Real gain in your pocket if that wins, mate. Best bets of the weekend we're coming up to now. Luke, there's no Dundalk, unfortunately, this weekend. What are you going to do with yourself?
I sent someone a message there this morning. It's like, what are we going to do with ourselves tomorrow night with no Dundalk to watch the first time since like September on a Friday night? Might actually have to talk to the family or something tomorrow evening. I don't know. Yeah, sure. We'll roll on to Newbury there tomorrow. Fresh runs in the 2:12 there. 2:12. What a time to have a race. It's not dog racing, lads. Come on.
2:12. Go on.
Fresh has tumbled down the ratings. He's probably a cliff horse of many people, but last year things just didn't happen for him. He slid down to 93. He's had a nice little prep run in the all weather. Like he won off 98 not last season, the season before. I think he looks sure to run a decent race there. He's around 6-1.
Luke, where are we looking here? Sorry, I've missed this one, mate.
Newbury, the 2:12 tomorrow.
Okay. Thanks, buddy.
The second one is going to be Hamish in the first race at Newbury on Saturday. He's won first time up the last 3 seasons. He loves soft ground. I'd be keen enough to take on the John Gosling horse Arrest. I think most of them are looking like they need to run first time out. This lad, he usually is primed early on. He loves soft ground. His rating sets the standard. I think he's second favourite. I think it's likely he could be pressing Arrest come the off for favouritism. And the last one is going to be at the Curragh on Saturday. I'm going to be siding with Casanova in the 2:45. He's been running in better races than this through the season. But over the last few seasons, he's been running top quality Premier handicaps, and he always has been running close without getting his head in front. He ran a fine race in the Irish Lincoln behind Chazamy, and Radeberg was back in third. We'll see how that form stacks up in the Spring Cup on Saturday at Newbury too. He always just runs his race. He'd love that soft ground. He's a nice weight on his back, down to 9 stone with £5 off. I think if there's ever going to be a day for Casanova, Saturday might be the day.
It wouldn't be a podcast without you mentioning an AJ McGuinness horse, would it?
No, Dundalk might be gone, but there'll still be plenty more to get through the flat season.
You said it. Thanks very much, Luke. Tiger Woods. Let's go with Rachel next.
Yeah, Chris. I've only got one here, and that is the 4:20 at Thirsk on Saturday. Now, Kelso, I like to stay loyal with my local trainer, with Katie Scott. He has Curious Rover, who we've seen plenty of last season, making his debut as a 3-year-old. Now, this horse, I cannot explain how much I love this horse. Like, he has never been out with the first tee. He is a true sprinter at 5 furlongs. He did start his career by going 7 furlongs and then 6. We know he will stay the distance well. And I have heard through the grapevine that they're going to be aiming him at the Dash at the Epsom weekend for the Derby. And I think that'll...
You'd want to go up a few pounds to get in that, yeah?
Yeah, you'll need a few
Need
pounds.
to.
So much more improvement to come from him. Obviously, the sire that I drove over, he was the most impressive Aidan O'Brien trained horse back in the day. But he's done so well for for his first sire, the Irish Rover. And Katie has also got his full sister in the yard now. So they're keeping the siblings together. But Curious Rover, I can't say much more about him. Like, his form, it might not be top notch all these 5 days, but there's so much more improvement to come for him. Oisin Ortega, right, he's a great start to the flat season, winning the Nell Gwyn on yesterday. So yeah, Curious Rover for me. I'm not sure what odds might open up at, but he's one that everyone should be putting in trackers this season. There's some big targets that lie ahead for him later on this year.
I was actually hoping to put one up in that race myself, but the horse didn't take up its entry, actually, Rachel. But keep an eye on this horse going forward anyway. And he's trained by Carl Burke, won around Wolverhampton during the winter, and I put it straight into my tracker. I thought he just looked like at least a listed sprinter going forward, and that horse is Sports Coach. Obviously, Mini Magda is running. No, it's not. Sorry, that's Anthony Britton. Yeah, Sports Coach. Put that one in your trackers, definitely. Curious Rover, yeah, very, very gutsy horse, isn't it? Katie Scott. Yard going places, isn't she?
Yeah, she really.
Yeah, very much so.
Guido is probably a standout horse, isn't she?
Yeah, Guido. Obviously, he wasn't able to make his season debut of the Queen's Cup. Abandoned that.
Yeah.
Going to try. I think she's aiming him at the race in Noom market that he won last year on the July course, and then hopefully back to Ayr for the Gold Cup. But Katie, like she's a great trainer. Obviously, she gave my cousin a ride and he finished 4th, which was great. She's going places, and Curious Rover's really sort of. I think he'll be the next up and coming horse when Guido comes to the end of his racing career. Curious Rover, I can't say much more about him. I think he's the only thing is obviously he's been gelded. He'd like to do that with her. There's a few fillies in the yard. But yeah, no, Curious Rover for me, Chris. That's my best bet.
Awesome, thanks, Rachel. Very tricky race, but yeah, Curious Rover never out of the first 3. What really gutsy horse there. Let's hope it can continue in the same form. Jordan, you?
There's one at Brighton tomorrow, so you were also interested in, and that was Flicker's Girl.
Yes.
Obviously, I've seen that you put it up as well. But on debut, it just looked really good. I mean, it finished second behind one that already had experience that I thought quite highly of in the first place. So I'd like to see how good that is again tomorrow, seeing that back out at Bath tomorrow. And one of the other ones I was obviously Luke said about Hamish, I actually did fancy a rest. But this is a horse that I backed a lot last year and probably seemed to cost me more than it actually paid. But I'm not going to desert him today. Obviously, he benefits from the fact that he is only a 4-year-old, so we'll still have plenty of improvement with him. And Hamish is giving him £3 on Saturday. So I'm hoping that John Gosden will have him ready and it'll go and win and do the job at 11-8 in the first of Newbury on Saturday.
Awesome. You could double that up with Flicker's Girl, mate.
Could be the one for the weekend.
Or you go with what Luke wanted, taking him on there. But bold start to the podcast for Jordan, taking on Luke. Boom.
We've agreed most of the night as well.
Oh, you have, yeah?
Yeah, it must be the only thing that we haven't agreed on. Sure, one of us will get the winner anyway.
Yeah. And finally, the Don.
So, what I will say, obviously, I've got some selections coming from Ayr. Some real competitive racing tomorrow and Saturday. So I've yet to lay an egg on most of these races, but I do have one for tomorrow that piques my interest, and it's Mr. McConnell's horse in the 150 in Attendo. I think it might just be better than everything else that's in this race tomorrow. Needs to buck its ideas up a little bit, but if it does, looking forward to seeing what happens there. And I've got 2 on Saturday. The first one, I'll give you probably a shorter price. It will be odds on. It's Queen de Bourbon and the 4.45. If that is anywhere near evens on Saturday, I'm jumping into that. And there's a fair chance I'll have a double with Zoom Zoom. The bigger price is the 4:10, and it's Domore Bay. Now it's went up, I think, £8 for coming second the last twice. But it's from the Emma Lavelle yard, in among Skeltons, Nichols, Mullins. I think you're going to get double price on this bad boy on Saturday. And I think you're going to get 3 places as well. So I'm going to have a wee punt on that. I'm looking forward to a decent price. But yeah, competitive racing across Ayr the next 2 days, Chris.
Definitely. Listen, Ers card is a fantastic card. It's one of my favourite meetings. I went up there a couple of years ago and really had I mean, I love Perth. I've been to Perth a couple of times in the summer. Is fantastic. Perth's probably just a little bit ahead of her in myself in that sense. But the people in Scotland, just always for me, always really nice people. And the crack up there is brilliant. Like, it is a fantastic race course if you get it up there. If you've never done it, please go try and do it 1 week, 1 year.
We like to not take ourselves too seriously.
No. A little bit like me. No.
Good man.
Too serious. Right, boys and girls, that brings us to the end of the podcast. There's actually nothing I was going to say Flicker's Girl Like Jordan as well for tomorrow, but nothing else this weekend. It'd be a weekend where I'll be kind of staying away apart from playing a few of the horses we've mentioned in the National. Nothing that I really want to shell my money out on. But thanks very much, guys, for a swift and good podcast. Thanks very much, Luke, Jordan, Don, and Rachel.
Pleasure.
Thank you all.
Cheers.
Awesome. And we will see you again next week. Take it easy, everyone. Bye-bye.